The roast was still steaming when my mother dropped the bombshell. Every Sunday for 3 years I'd hosted family dinner in my Victorian home in Elmwood Heights. Today was different. "Jessica, we need to discuss living arrangements," Mom said, setting down her wine glass with decisive finality. "Your brother and Amanda need more space. With twins on the way, their apartment won't work." I looked up from the mashed potatoes I'd spent 2 hours perfecting. My brother Derek sat across from me, his wife Amanda beside him, both wearing expressions of entitled expectation. My father carved the roast without meeting my eyes. Aunt Linda nodded along as always. "Derek and Amanda will move into the master suite," Mom continued. "Ground floor is essential with newborns. You'll take one of the smaller bedrooms upstairs. The third floor becomes nursery and play area." I set down my fork carefully. "The third floor is my home office. You can work from the dining room," Amanda dismissed. "You just do computer stuff anyway. You don't need a whole floor." Computer stuff. I was senior cloud infrastructure architect at Vertex Systems, managing 12 engineers and consulting for Fortune 500 companies. My salary was $285,000 annually, not counting bonuses. My family thought I made maybe $60,000 doing IT support. "When is this move happening?" I asked. "Next Saturday," Derek announced. "Movers arrive at 8 a.m. We need to be settled before the babies come in 3 months. Family takes care of family," Dad said, his first contribution. "You have this enormous house to yourself. It's selfish not to share." I looked at my family. Mom, who'd spent my childhood comparing me unfavorably to Derek. Dad, who'd paid for Derek's failed businesses while telling me to be more independent when I needed college help. Derek, who'd coasted on charm and parental support while I worked 3 jobs through school. Amanda, who'd made clear she considered me beneath her. When Grandma left this house to the family, she intended it to be used properly, Aunt Linda added. Grandma Catherine, who died 4 years ago, who'd held my hand in hospice and whispered, "I'm leaving you something, sweetheart. Don't let them bully you." "Derek's family is expanding," Mom said firmly. "Your needs are minimal. This makes sense." "We've already bought new bedroom furniture," Amanda said, scrolling her phone. "King-size bed, matching dressers. Everything white and gold. Very elegant. Your current furniture is so dated." My current furniture included a custom bed frame I'd commissioned for $8,000 and linens I'd bought in Italy during a consulting trip to Milan. "I've picked paint colors for the nursery," Amanda continued, showing her phone. "Soft yellow and gray. Very modern. Clear out that computer equipment by Friday so painters can start." My computer equipment. The custom workstation worth $15,000. The server rack for freelance consulting that brought in another $90,000 annually. "Derek will pay $800 monthly for utilities and groceries," Mom said. "Very fair considering he's giving you the blessing of being an aunt." $800, I repeated slowly. "For the master suite, nursery and shared spaces. Most family wouldn't pay anything," Derek said defensively. "We're doing you a favor. This house is too big for you to manage alone." I'd managed it perfectly for 4 years. I'd renovated the kitchen, updated bathrooms, refinished hardwood floors, restored period moldings. The house was valued at $1.2 million and I owned it free and clear. "There are house rules," Amanda added, handing me a typed document. "Quiet hours after 8 p.m. No guests without notice. Scheduled kitchen access. Priority driveway parking for our vehicles. 3 pages of rules for my own house. No overnight guests. Limited kitchen hours. Restrictions on laundry. A mandate to keep my work materials confined to whatever bedroom they assigned. We want to avoid conflicts," Amanda said. "Clear expectations make happy families." "Movers arrive 8 a.m. Saturday," Derek repeated. "Be out of the master suite by Friday. Amanda wants to deep clean before we move in." "No offense," Amanda said, meaning offense, "but your housekeeping isn't what I'd want for my children." I deep cleaned every 2 weeks. I'd installed commercial-grade air filtration. I'd had the house professionally inspected and remediated every issue found. "We should discuss meals," Mom interjected. "Amanda won't have time to cook while pregnant and caring for twins. You'll handle dinners 5 nights weekly. Nothing fancy. Amanda has dietary restrictions." Amanda handed me another document. 2 pages of foods she wouldn't eat and nutritional requirements. I work 60 hours a week, I said. Computer stuff from home, Derek dismissed. You have flexibility. Amanda needs support. I thought about the product launch I was leading, the team I managed across 3 time zones, the architecture reviews with C-suite executives, the industry conference where I'd keynote next month. I've selected furniture from your living room we'll need, Amanda continued. That leather sectional will be perfect for the nursery. We'll replace it with microfiber. Easier to clean. My sectional cost $11,000. I'd saved a year to buy it. This is very sudden, I said. Life is sudden, Mom replied sharply. Family adapts. Unless you'd put your comfort above your brother's children. The guilt card. Mom's favorite weapon always in Derek's favor. I need to make phone calls, I said standing. Phone calls. Dad's eyes narrowed. You're not going to cause problems? This is a family decision. All except me, I pointed out. You're outvoted, Mom dismissed. This is happening, Jessica. Be gracious or be difficult. Either way, Derek moves in Saturday. I walked to my 3rd-floor office overlooking the garden I'd planted. On the walls hung my Stanford master's degree, my AWS certification, last year's Innovation Award from Vertex Systems. On my desk sat my laptop running simulations for a $3 million cloud migration project. I called my attorney Marcus Webb, who'd handled Grandma Catherine's estate. They're moving in Saturday? He asked. 8 a.m. Movers and everything. Have they seen the actual will? They assumed for 4 years that Grandma left the house to a family trust. But Catherine left it solely to you. With a letter stating that if family tried to take it within 5 years, I should use it as evidence of their character. Marcus's voice hardened. They've failed spectacularly. Want this handled quietly or publicly? I want every moment documented, I said. I'll bring everything. Judge Morrison said she'd attend as witness. She was Catherine's executor. I returned to find them discussing redecorating, what color they'd paint my bedroom, the small bedroom they were assigning me, and which belongings I'd store. We'll need the good china, Amanda said, for when we host holidays. The good china was Grandma Catherine's Limoges porcelain from the 1940s, worth over $20,000. Finally, this house will be filled with family the way Catherine intended, Mom said contentedly. She'd be so happy seeing Derek's children here. I smiled and said nothing. Saturday morning arrived cold and clear. The moving truck arrived at 8 sharp. Derek directed movers with confident authority, pointing at my furniture like he owned it. That sectional goes upstairs. The dining table goes to storage. Those bookshelves too, we need space for toys. Amanda supervised the bedroom transition. The smallest room upstairs barely fit a double bed. This is cozy, she said with false brightness. You'll barely need furniture. Mom arranged flowers, already redecorating. Dad hung Derek's communications degree where my Stanford degree had been. At 9:30 my doorbell rang. I opened it to Marcus Webb, property attorney Sarah Chin, and Judge Patricia Morrison, who'd been Grandma Catherine's executor and closest friend. Good morning, Jessica, Judge Morrison said warmly. We have documents to review with your family. The moving stopped. What's going on? Derek asked. Family meeting, I said calmly. Everyone in the dining room. Marcus opened his briefcase with deliberate precision, spreading documents across the table. Property deed. Estate settlement papers. Each bearing official seals. I'm Marcus Webb, representing Jessica Morrison in matters related to the Catherine Morrison estate, he began. This is Sarah Chin, specializing in property law, and Judge Patricia Morrison, estate executor. We know about the estate, Mom interrupted. Catherine left the house in a family trust. Actually, Judge Morrison said, her voice cutting like a gavel, Catherine Morrison created no such trust. She left this property free and clear, solely to her granddaughter Jessica. She slid the deed across the table. My name. Only my name. The silence was profound. That's impossible, Derek whispered. Mrs. Morrison was exceptionally clear, Sarah Chin said. She specifically excluded all other family members from any claim to this property. Marcus produced the will, pointing to passages. Quote, I leave my home solely and exclusively to my granddaughter Jessica Ann Morrison. I specifically exclude my daughter Patricia, son-in-law Robert, grandson Derek, and all other family members from any claim or interest in said property." Mom's face went white. She wouldn't. She loved us. She loved Jessica enough to protect her from you, Judge Morrison said bluntly. "Catherine was my dearest friend. I watched how you treated Jessica for years. The favoritism toward Derek, the dismissal of Jessica's achievements, the expectation that Jessica sacrifice for Derek's benefit. Catherine saw everything." "Your planning was based on false assumptions," Marcus interrupted. "Jessica has been sole owner for 4 years. You have no claim, no right to residency, no legal standing. 4 years." Dad's voice cracked. "You knew and said nothing?" "Grandma Catherine asked me to wait," I said. "She wanted to see if you'd respect my ownership without knowing the legal reality. She hoped you'd treat me fairly because it was right, not because you had no choice." "You've failed catastrophically," Judge Morrison added. "You've attempted to seize Jessica's property, demand rent, impose restrictions, claim her possessions. All documented, all witnessed, all legally actionable." Sarah pulled out additional documents. "We've prepared eviction notices, though technically unnecessary since you were never legal residents. You're trespassers attempting illegal occupation. We have a lease ending next week," Amanda said, panicking. "Where do we go?" "Your failure to verify housing before terminating your lease isn't Jessica's responsibility," Sarah replied without sympathy. "Jessica, please," Mom begged. "We're family." "Family," I repeated quietly. "You were charging me $800 to live in a tiny bedroom in my own house, taking my office furniture, grandmother's china, imposing rules on how I could live in my home. You never asked permission, never considered my feelings. You assumed you could take what was mine because you've always taken what was mine." Judge Morrison stood. "I'm here as witness that legal notice has been served. Remove your belongings immediately and vacate. Resistance means law enforcement and criminal trespassing charges." "What about the twins?" Derek asked desperately. "You should have considered your children before attempting to steal your sister's home," Marcus said coldly. "All items must be removed within 2 hours," Sarah added. "Anything remaining will be considered abandoned." "Robert, say something," Mom cried. Dad looked at the documents, at Judge Morrison's stern face, at the attorney's briefcases. "We should have asked questions 4 years ago." "The right thing," I asked quietly. "Like when I asked for college help and you said take loans while paying for Derek's education. When I got my master's and you didn't come to graduation because Derek had a sales presentation. When I bought this house and you never asked how because you assumed it was family trust, not my success." "Your success," Derek scoffed. "You do IT support." "I'm senior cloud infrastructure architect," I said clearly. "I manage 12 engineers. I consult for Fortune 500 companies. I make $285,000 yearly, not counting bonuses and consulting fees. I bought this house with my money. I renovated it with my hands. I've hosted you every Sunday for 3 years in my home, and you never once asked about my life." The shock on their faces would have been satisfying if it wasn't so pathetic. Marcus pulled out another document. "Would you like to see her employment contract? Tax returns? The deed showing she purchased this outright." "The movers should begin removing items now," Judge Morrison said firmly. "The clock is running." They left. Slowly, with protests that died when faced with legal documents and judicial authority. The movers reversed their work. Derek and Amanda loaded their SUV in silence. Mom cried. Dad argued until Sarah mentioned arrest for continued trespassing. Within 3 hours my house was mine again. Marcus handed me final documents. "Change locks immediately. Install security cameras. If they return, call police." Judge Morrison hugged me. Catherine would be so proud. Over the following weeks, consequences radiated outward. Derek and Amanda moved in with her parents, cramming 5 people into a 1-bedroom apartment. The tension destroyed their marriage within a month. Mom and Dad faced social humiliation when Aunt Linda, horrified by the truth, told everyone at church what happened. The community that celebrated Derek's mediocre achievements now whispered about the family that tried to steal from their daughter. Derek lost his sales job when his company heard about the legal incident. Amanda's parents demanded they leave after 2 months. I changed my locks, installed cameras, and updated my will to leave everything to a scholarship fund for women in technology. Marcus sent me Grandma Catherine's final letter, held in escrow. My dearest Jessica, it read. If you're reading this, they tried to take what I gave you. I'm heartbroken but not surprised. I watched them diminish your entire life. This house is yours because you're the only one who deserves it. You built something real instead of expecting everything handed to you. Stand firm, sweetheart. You were always the strong one. They just never had vision to see it. Keep the house. Fill it with joy and accomplishment. Remember that real family celebrates your success. All my love, Grandma Catherine. I framed the letter and hung it in my office, next to my degrees and awards. 6 months later, I hosted a celebration dinner. My Vertex Systems team, my Ments, and Judge Morrison celebrated the project launch I'd led. A cloud migration saving my company $8 million annually and earning me promotion to Vice President of Cloud Architecture. My CEO raised a toast. To Jessica, whose vision transformed our infrastructure. We're lucky to have you. I looked around at people who respected me, valued me, celebrated my achievements. Real family, chosen not born. The house has never felt empty. It's filled with work I love, people who appreciate me, and the certainty that I will never again let anyone make me small. They thought they were claiming a family home. They learned they'd tried to steal from someone who'd been protecting her rights all along. The ownership documents did silence the table. And with them came justice, consequences, and freedom.